everybody. It's Allison Williams here, your law firm mentor. Law Firm Mentor is a business coaching service for solo and small law firm attorneys. We help you grow your revenues, crush chaos in business, and make more money. Elizabeth Miller, MBA, is an independent law firm administrator and best-selling co-author of From Lawyer to Law Firm, How to Manage a Successful Law Business. Her book was published on May 11, 2017, and was number 4 on the bestseller list by May 23, 2017. Elizabeth has been working in the legal profession for over 40 years. She started as a paralegal, transitioned into law firm administration, and now, since 2015, has been working as an independent law firm administrator. Her clients are solo, small, and a few medium-sized law firms. She works on retainer basis, providing them with administrative services that they need but can't afford to pay a full-time, on-staff administrator to handle. Liz believes that lawyers need to understand the administrative and business aspects of their firms, but need to spend their billable hours doing client work and actually capturing time. All right, Elizabeth Miller, thank you so much for joining us on the Crushing Chaos with Law Firm Mentor podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing terrific, Allison. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Great. I can't wait to dive into your topic because you and I have had the opportunity to discuss this before. And your company, From Lawyer to Law Firm CEO, helps lawyers with this amongst various other topics, but this is probably one of the sexiest ones, which is talking about money and getting more money in.
Yes.
So let's talk about client billing. Client billing is one of those banes of the existence of many lawyers. Yep. And they are perpetually bad at it, but they know it has to be done. So if you were talking to a lawyer right now who was struggling with client billing, what would you say would be the most important thing that they need to know about client billing?
I think that probably I would ask him how long he plans to sustain his law practice out of his own pocket before the practice is going to go bust.
Ouch.
You know, well, money is really important, and it's like the number one thing. If you don't have money, you don't have anything. I mean, you can keep people on for a while, you can feed them out of your pocket, you can do whatever, but eventually what's going to happen? There's no more money. You can't run the firm. How can you run the firm with no money?
Yeah. Well, it's very true. And, obviously people do need to recognize that they have to stay on top of their billing in order to drive it in so that they have money available to meet their expenses. So what do you think is the biggest problem that you see of your clients that really struggle with billing? Like what's kind of the thing that's holding them back?
I think, and especially the last few months that I've, worked with more clients doing billing, they don't see it as a priority. It's always a thing that goes to the back burner. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to see the client, but it's never the billing. I just met with somebody the other day who has not billed a client in about a year.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now imagine when those clients get bills for the past year. Okay, what are they going to do? I mean, that all that client money is gone.
Yeah.
Right. So what's going to happen? I warned him. The phone's going to start ringing the minute these bills hit out there. People are going to start. How could you not let me know? How could what happened to my money? So
yeah. And it's a major problem too, because and I think what happens with a lot of law firm owners is that they're not stupid. They know that if they had gotten a bill for 8 months worth of service and all of a sudden we're expected to pay $15,000-$20,000, that they wouldn't be able to write a check for that and feel good about it. And so they oftentimes will just not bill the person or opt not to bill the person, or the cardinal sin, issue a bill for 100% appropriate services and then cut the bill by some outrageous amount because they feel guilty because they didn't bill them, right?
Yeah, of course they do. But, the thing is that at what point does it get better? Going forward and not doing a bill, it's never going to get better. It's going to get worse. I have a client that, I mean, the last 2 months, I had to ride him I mean, down to the point where I went down there and I was like, listen, you're going to do these bills and you're going to do them now. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. So, what are the client, it's not the client's fault. They could have paid all along. So what are the attorneys going to do?
Yeah. So, a lot of these problems that kind of happen as a result of a lawyer not billing consistently and frequently enough are oftentimes averted when people comply with what's in their retainer agreement. So let's
Right.
talk a little bit about retainer agreements and letters of engagement.
Okay.
How important are those to the process of billing?
Well, I think the retainer agreement is very important. I think that attorneys need to get more specific in their retainer agreements of exactly, what is going to be included, what is not going to be included. Clients these days are wising up and they're paying attention and they're kind of like, oh, well, that wasn't excluded and that wasn't excluded. And you know what I mean? So they're wising up. So you have to say, for example, in a family law case, this retainer is going to take you through mediation. Okay, so that means the day that mediation's over, either they're going to re-sign with you or whatever they're going to do, but it's over. If you keep working, if you keep, what does that say to the client? You're going to keep working, in 8 months you're going to get a bill. I mean, it doesn't, and I told the client just the other day, you need to break down your case. This takes me to mediation. This takes me to pretrial. I told the client, I said, have you done a trial ever done a trial retainer? Like when the case is going to go to trial, that the client signs a new trial retainer, and how many days is it going to be so that if it runs over that, and they looked at me like, what? I've never heard of that before, So
Yeah.
you got to get real specific with them.
Well, I think that's a very good point because the specificity doesn't just get the client, the lawyer client money, but it also avoids the problem where you could have your fee either disgorged or your client could say, you don't have a contractual right to charge me because I paid a retainer through date X or activity X, and now that time has passed. So, you don't get to bill me, or you get to bill me all you want to. You don't have a contractual right to sue me. So
Exactly.
Go right ahead, work for me for free.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Of course. I mean, the client will take whatever they can get. I mean, let's face it, but in the meantime, what is the law firm doing? The law, I have this thing. It's called, I would either work for a client and get paid, or if I'm not gonna make any money, then I'm gonna sit on the beach. Because you might as well then sit on the beach and not make any money, because why make money and not get paid? That doesn't make any sense.
You mean why do the work and not get paid?
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, but sometimes it's like, why do the work and then have that expectation.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
a lot of times that's where a lot of lawyers start to develop resentment of their clients, and it harms the attorney-client relationship. Even if you do ultimately get paid, you're going to ultimately lose the opportunity to have a perpetual client, because the client is going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. No one's going to be happy.
And let's not forget about the client referral and writing you know what it takes to get a bad reference off Yelp or somewhere like that? I mean, it's next to impossible. And I know, because I've had attorneys that, have collected money or done whatever, and they get these blistering reviews. So what are they going to do?
Yeah.
So,
a lot of these problems deal with from what I see, the mindset of the lawyer and how they approach their business. And one of the things that can oftentimes aid in this area is by creating a smoother process for how billing gets done. So let's talk about what some of the billing procedures are that you think every lawyer and law firm should really implement in order to smooth out that process of billing clients.
Well, Allison, I have a procedure that I follow, and it's the procedure that I make everybody follow. On the last day of the month at 5 o'clock, time is cut off. They need the attorneys and associates need to put their time in contemporaneously. They cannot tell me that they're going to remember a week ago what they talked to somebody about, what they wrote to. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I certainly cannot remember what I did last week. So unless there's a trial or something like that, all the time needs to be in the last day of the month, period. I run the pre-bills, take them to the attorney, have him just, go over them. I change the, attorneys don't always write great sentence structure when they're whatever. So I go through for grammar and spelling and stuff like that. We make any changes. By the 5th of the month, and I mean by the 5th of the month, the bills need to go out to the clients, period. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. Why? Why do you think they pay their mortgage on time? Why do you think they pay their car payment on time? Because they know when that is due. So guess what? If they know when their bills are due, at least you're halfway to getting them paid, right? Send out the bills by the 5th of the month. 5 days later, if people aren't paying, it's time to get on the phone and find out where the money is. Because there's no point in continuing on when people aren't paying you.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of jurisdictions will require that there be some level of activity until you are phased out of a case. But I think a lot of lawyers do make assumptions that, well, I can't just stop working. And many, many times that's not true. Many times you have a lot more power than you as the lawyer are choosing to exercise. So let's talk a little bit about billing procedures where a client where we want to get the client not just paying the bill, but we want to increase the likelihood that they're going to pay timely, that they're going to pay the bill in full, or that they're going to pay most of it and keep us in an evergreen situation, meaning that we're always going to have money on account for that client. So what are some of the things that you would help lawyers to do and advise them to do in order to increase the likelihood that there's consistency of payments between the clients?
Well, first of all, you need to, and most of the billing programs these days have where you can set like, okay, 1,000, if it falls below $1,000, it's going to let you know, kind of thing. That's the time to ask for a replenishment. When there's still some money in the bucket, go to the client, tell them, this is going to be used up in another 30 days, whatever. You need to replenish, you need to, whatever. You can work something out with them. They can, whatever it is, but they need to know that the money is getting ready to disappear. Again, sending the bills on time, letting them know that it's coming. You can work things out with them. And, clients don't realize that if they were to call and say to the attorney, okay, I need to come up with $3,500. I don't have it. Can I give you $1,750 this month and $1,750 the next month? The attorney is, of course, going to say, okay, right? Because money now is better than money never, right? So, you'll take that. So those are the kind of things that you have to be willing to work with your client. You have to be understanding of maybe pay dates. Maybe they get paid on the 10th and the 20th, or maybe they get paid on the 15th and the 30th. So you send out the bill on the 5th, you're not going to get paid on the 10th, you're going to get paid on the 15th, but you're going to get paid. So those are like all the little things that you need to work with your clients to make sure that you get paid and that the client attorney relationship, is a good one.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a very important point there because I think a lot of people And I know lawyers that have engaged in this behavior as well. You know, when they can't pay a bill in its entirety, or if the credit card declines, they oftentimes feel shame, and so they kind of stick their head in the sand. They don't immediately reach out, and then you're chasing them, and then they
Mhm.
feel bad about the fact that you're chasing them. So then they're disengaging from your service, even though it may be at a critical time in their case where not having that ongoing relationship is going to harm their interest and make it harder for you to prevail for them. So when you have a client who says, I can't pay in full, but I know I owe you this money, how much do you advise, or is it advisable in your view, that lawyers be flexible with their clients in terms of getting money in the door?
I think that as long as the client is willing to put it in writing, be it a promissory note or something like, something that you can is tangible. I see no reason. I mean, what is the client going to do? They're going to fire you and go hire somebody else, and then that attorney's going to get the money. So, like, does that make any sense? I mean, you're already involved in the case. You know the facts. You know everything. If the client comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm going to pay $33,000 over the next 3 months or something," great. Get them to sign a promissory note and make the payments. Whatever it takes. Some people borrow money from their parents. Some people will take the money against a credit card. And I know now there are firms out there that will finance, legal fees. And I don't know all the ins and outs of it because I'm not really that involved in it. Most of my clients don't, but some people are interested in that, but you got to find a way to work with these people because they're going to get somebody to represent them anyway.
Yeah, well, it's a good point that you raised this idea of the litigation financing, because once upon a time that was really reserved for only personal injury attorneys. If they were
Right.
expecting a settlement and could represent that a settlement was coming, a client could borrow against it. But now they have straight loan programs where people can borrow money, and better that it be someone like e-financing or I qualify that loans the client money than the law firm, especially a small law firm, where on the backs of your hard work comes the financing arrangement that you didn't really agree to, you just kind of got stuck with, right?
Yeah, well, and don't forget though, too, doing that, if it's a choice between getting another attorney that, and I don't want to say inferior quality, but you know what I mean, or keeping the attorney that is familiar with their case, that, you know what I'm saying? To me, that's more important, more worth it, more whatever, you know? So it's six of one and half a dozen of the other. But if you're willing to work with the clients, then why not?
Yeah. All right. So now I want to talk about a topic that I think is an often overlooked area to grow revenue, which is increasing your hourly rate. So if a lawyer wants to increase their hourly rates, how do you recommend that they would notify their client about that to make sure that that's a smooth process?
Well, first of all, if they're going to raise their rates, I recommend that it be done at the beginning of the year because, you just don't wake up one day in the middle of August and think, wow, I ought to raise my rates. It comes at the end of the year when you've gone through whatever. And so you're going to raise your rates. Send a letter to every client, 30 days notice. We're raising our rates in 30 days. It's going to be X number, whatever, 25, 50, 100. I don't recommend you do 100. I recommend you do 50, maybe for you, and 25 for the associates or something like that. Um, they need to have 30 days notice. You can't just, go from 1 month to the next and raise the fees. And everybody's, of course, this is going to start the barrage of phone calls, right? Because nobody knows anything about it. You haven't told anybody. And suddenly they're looking at their bill. Instead of getting charged $350 an hour, they're getting charged $400 an hour. So I would suggest that, like, at the beginning of January, you send out a notice, February 1st, whatever, you're going to raise your fees, how much it's going to be. It's really negligible when you talk about, yeah, $50 an hour is a lot, but, it's not worth it to change attorneys, whatever. They just want to be notified. They just want to know that it's coming.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I also think how you handle it is very important. So, you do need to give your client notice, and most jurisdictions either have a requirement that it be in writing, that you tell them you have a right to raise the rate and that you're going
Mhm.
to give them ample notice. And some places you could just do it. But certainly, however it's handled, it's always a customer service issue. Nobody wants to suddenly start receiving a bill that is higher than it otherwise would have been, because they're going to start doing that math whether they tell you or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And to be honest with you, even in the jurisdictions, where it's not required to give notice, I still would feel like I needed to give everyone written notice, 30 days, that it's coming and whatever. It just makes the transition a lot smoother.
Yeah. So, we know that raising hourly rates is a way to get more out of your existing client base, but there is also the concern about what you do in order to prevent an AR problem in the first place. And so, a lot of that is choosing wisely, right? Don't get into bed with every person that offers themselves to you, i.e.,
Right.
don't
Yeah.
take every client that offers themselves at the door. So, when you're working with your lawyer clients, how do you get them to, well, what sorts of things should they be looking out for to make sure that the person that they're bringing in as a new client is actually going to pay the bill?
Well, it's really funny because my philosophy might sound a little bit backwards, but when I have a client that comes in and has concern about the retainer or whatever and says, "Oh, that's kind of high and I don't know, you know, to me, that person is more going to pay their bill than a client that you tell them you want $5,000 and they go, "Oh, I don't care. I don't care how much it costs. Doesn't matter.
It's
Whatever.
different
It
for
doesn't matter."
everything, right?
Yeah, yeah, doesn't matter. But you know what? Guess what? It doesn't matter because you're not going to get the money anyway.
Right.
That's the reason that it doesn't matter. So that is definitely something that I'm on the lookout for. When somebody just doesn't matter, yeah, that's a big problem. And then of course, collecting money, sending people replenishments, they take a long time to pay, whatever. Then I have kind of gotten the attitude that, if they're not going to pay, cut them loose. That's just, let them go down the road to somebody that charges $200 an hour, whatever the case may be. You just don't need to be bothered with that.
Well, I think I love that you have kind of a differential approach to the idea of when a person is a red flag, right? The person who kind of brushes it off like, yeah, 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 no problem, whatever,
Mhm.
might not necessarily be as cognizant about money as you would want them to be your client, because
Right.
you've got a process here. The idea of long time payers, though, right? Those people that are kind of trudging along, you say cut bait with them, but I want to ask you a little bit about conversations around money. So one of the things that in the free training on collections that I did quite a while ago in Law Firm Mentor, I'll drop the link to that in the show notes. We talk about how to have money conversations with people, so you don't accost them with the money conversation when they are having a sensitive moment in their litigation.
Right.
Instead, you're having persistent, consistent conversations with them so that they know this is an obligation that they have to honor. They're going to have to come up with it. And it doesn't feel like they're being betrayed by you to ask about that. So when you work with lawyers and you work with lawyers on increasing and improving their billing practices as well as collection practices, how do you help them bridge that gap between I've charged the person once and now, oh God, I don't want to have the conversation again. I want them to just pay the bill when I send them the bill. And if I have to deal with the bill, I'm frustrated. How do you help them get over that hump?
Actually, I run interference for that problem by dealing with the client. See, I don't believe that attorneys should be asking for fees, asking for replenishments, or anything like that. There needs to be some separation, and they will try and suppose that they're trying to call you Allison, and so that I want to talk to Allison. Okay, well, you can talk to Allison, but let's talk about your bill. No, I want to talk to Allison about my bill. Why? Because they're gonna you're going to be a pushover, and they're going to come up with some sob story. And now, don't get me wrong, I will have sympathy for them. I will work with them. I will do whatever, but they're going to have to come to some kind of concrete plan of how they're going to take care of this. And so that's what they try to do. They get the attorney on the phone, and they whatever, and the attorney gets off the phone and says, well, I agreed to accept $1 down and $1 a week for the rest of my life. I'm like, what? I mean, like, what? So, it's very hard. You guys aren't supposed to be collectors. You're supposed to be practicing law. And everybody else is supposed to take care of everything else, including collecting the money. So why would I put you in that position?
Well, there's definitely something to be said for freeing lawyers from the idea of having to collect. And I know a lot of lawyers will appreciate the freedom that comes with having somebody else do that work for them, that heavy lifting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to, hey, it's a billing problem, an accounting problem. Talk to my person that does the billing. You want to talk about the case? Talk to the lawyer.
Yeah. So, Liz, we were actually together in an efficiency webinar that I put together for the Law Firm Mentor Movement Facebook group, where we talked about 3 different platforms of software: Clio, MyCase, and Practice Panther.
Right.
And I am agnostic to all of them. I think there are pluses and minuses to every legal tech solution out there. But in that particular program, you demonstrated document automation in Practice Panther.
Right.
So when you are working with law firm clients and they are struggling with billing, how do you integrate a software solution to help take some of the residual frustration out of the process to make it faster and easier for the law firm to collect money?
Well, first of all, I tried to extract the lawyer from the program altogether, because they just have a mental block or something. Every one of these programs has a great billing program, and you just need to sit down and learn it and whatever. And when somebody knows that program, or if I spend time with them or whatever, they have it, it's humming along. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Keep the lawyer out of it. Let the people do what they do. Everything like Clio, for example, that's a great billing program. Take payments in, do the bills, subtract the payments, whatever. So I think that as far as the billing part goes, they're all great. They all have their own little whatever, but definitely one of the things you need to do is keep the lawyer out of the billing program.
So you heard it here first, lawyers. If we want to start collecting more money, we got to get the hell out of the way, right?
Yep, that's right.
All right. Well, Liz, we're coming to the end of our time together, and I just wanted to ask you really kind of a catch-all, which is, what's the best advice you can give to a law firm owner who wants to improve their billing and collection overall?
Well, the best advice that I can give is for them to get out of the way and let the people do what they need to do. Let the program work the way that it's supposed to. Don't make excuses. Don't put other stuff in front of it. Don't, I have a client, Allison, that every month her billing gets a few more days behind. This month it's going to be the 15th. Next month it's going to be the 20th. Then it's, and it doesn't catch up with you. And before you know it, you end up in a 6 or 8 month, no bills have gone out. So really and truly, the thing is, 1, for the lawyers to stay out of it, and 2, don't try to distract the people in your office when they're trying to do the billing, because it really is important. If the billing isn't done, you're not having any money. I mean, it's just not.
Yeah. Great points there. We definitely know that billing is one of those critical functions in a law firm. It's how we get paid, it's how we keep things moving, and honestly, it's how we have and sustain great relationships with our clients. So, Elizabeth Miller, I want to thank you so much for coming in. As always, you've been a great resource and a great wealth of knowledge. So, if somebody wants to learn more about your company, from lawyer to law firm CEO, how would they be able to do that, and how would they be able to get a hold of you?
They can check out my website at fromlawyertolawfirm.com. They can call me at 813-340-9569. My book, From Lawyer to Law Firm, How to Manage a Successful Law Business, is also on my website. If anybody wants to buy the book, I suggest they buy it there because it's $100 cheaper than what the publisher is selling it. So, and that's how they can get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm everywhere.
All right, you guys heard it here. If you want to learn more about From Lawyer to Law Firm, please check out the various resources that Elizabeth Miller listed. They will be available for you in our show notes. I'm Allison Williams, your law firm mentor. You've been listening to the Crushing Chaos with Law Firm Mentor podcast. Everyone, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Crushing Chaos with Law Firm Mentor podcast. To learn more about today's guest and take advantage of the resources mentioned, check out our show notes. And if you own a solo or small law firm and are looking for guidance, advice, or simply support on your journey to create a law firm that runs without you, join us in the Law Firm Mentor Movement free Facebook group. There, you can access our free trainings on improving collections in law firms, meeting billable hours, and join the movement of thousands of law firm owners across the country who want to crush chaos in their law firms and make more money. I'm Allison Williams, your law firm mentor. Have a great day.